Hello. Can you hear me? Oh, now? Yeah? Okay, lovely. Right. So I'm Carrie, and yeah, this is my testimony about how this church has blessed me. Um, if you don't know, I am originally from San Diego, but I was living in Prague a year and a half before, and Prague was everything magical you could think of. Like, it was fantastic. It was the quintessential European city. People were wonderful there. It was great. Um, and so I decided to move to Korea because I knew that this past year would be my last year abroad. And so I wanted to go east, explore the east, and I wanted to come to Korea because the money was good and the benefits were good. And so I came. I didn't really talk to God about it before. I was like, I'm going to go. I'm going to go. And it wasn't until the offer was made that I was like, maybe, maybe I should pray about this. So I mean, I already made up my decision, and God knew that. So the word that I got was to trust in the way that I was created. And by that, he meant that under pretty much every circumstance in life, I've been able to connect deeply with the people around me and get along with pretty much everyone. And so I was like, okay, all right. So in mid-October, I moved to Pyeongtaek, Korea, from Prague. If you don't know where Pyeongtaek is, you're not alone. It's like about an hour and a half, 2 hours away from here. And so, yeah. And when I moved, again, it was mid-October. I had 2 weeks of autumn, and it turned into winter. And thought having survived a winter in Europe, I'd be okay. But I wasn't. It turns out Korea winter is very different, unique in its own way, very polluted, a little dusty. And I didn't have the time to explore Korea before it turned. So I was just convinced that Korea was really ugly. So yeah, so this whole winter that lasted for about half a year, I was just miserable. And the affirmation that I got from God, that I would find people here or make deep connections because that was a strength he had given me, it seemed to be failing. At my school, there were negative people in there, and so I was like, well, we're not going to be friends. Climbing, which was a huge part of my social life back in Prague, the gym I was going to was all Korean, Pyeongtaek, little Korean town. They don't know English very much. So I would sometimes go climbing for like 4 hours and not speak a single word. And that was super frustrating for me. And lastly, church. When I got here, community groups had just ended until February. So I was like, awesome. This is going to be great. So I remember quite possibly the lowest point where I just broke, and it kind of just remained broken, was in December. I remember walking home from climbing. It was nearly midnight, and it was just cold. I was frustrated after having gone climbing and not being able to talk to anyone. And I remember everything just came to a head. The language barriers, the cultural differences, the frustrations in not having made connections. I was like, what's going on? And in that week, even actually shorter than that week, God sent me what I like to call love letters, which is like little reminders throughout the day, like random things that would happen where I would know so clearly that was God because it would give me such deep peace and deep joy. And so it first came in the form of a worship song that popped up in my Discover section, and then a Bible verse, and then sealed with the church sermon on Sunday. And I actually wrote a journal as I was riding back from church that day. And it goes like this. The whole love letters, all the love letters that had happened in that week. It was a reminder that left me in tears. I was crying on the bus. It reminded me that God didn't place me here for no reason. As much as I want to take credit for me being here, God knew my decisions all along. I didn't throw him a curveball of any sort. he knew, and he's designed a plan for me here. There's a purpose. I just need to trust in him. Right, so the process was slow. It took 7 months, 6 to 7 months longer than I would have liked. And I remember my birthday was in late May, and I had prepared myself. I mentally prepared myself. Like, this birthday's going to be really different. We won't have too many people to celebrate with. It'll be fine. And I was like, that's just part of adulting. Like, birthdays don't become a big deal anymore because of this. But God was so good in that. My birthday was on a Saturday, and I was just feeling sorry for myself all Friday. And that Saturday, I went on a hike with Charlotte and a few other people, and they celebrated me, like, surprised me on the top of a mountain. That was great. On Sunday, my community group bought me cake, and we had the church picnic, and it was just perfect. And it was such a blessing. And so that, like, began the turn. The people at my Hagwon, the negativity, they left, and beautiful people came in, and I became, like, best friends with one of my coworkers. Climbing, they adopted me as one of their own, and I learned a lot of Korean through them. And church, you guys have been the biggest blessing. Even finding this church here was such a God thing, because I was connected through Rosie, who we were connected through a friend from Prague, because we had gone to the same church but never met. And so she invited me out here, and being here, especially in those winter times, was like a lifeline. Like, you guys kept me afloat. The messages that Pastor Joel gave every Sunday, they seemed to speak to me, to everything I was struggling with. And shortly after my birthday, I joined welcoming team, and after that, like, it was like the blessings multiplied. Like, being able to watch everyone love Jesus, to love each other, because that's what I do at the door there, just watch you guys. It was a massive thing, and I've told many people that GCC, it seems like out of all the churches that I've been to, it seems to be close to perfect. Yeah, like the intentionality that goes behind everything that is done here, all the prayer, the care for the servants, I guess. It's just absolutely lovely. So I just wanted to say thank you guys for being such a massive part of my testimony, for being pretty much the main part of my testimony. And I want to finish with that journal entry that I wrote in December, in like one of my hardest times. It goes like this. I began to be reminded of the Lord's sovereignty in Prague, how I doubted and had the same exact frustrations, and yet I was the richest woman at the end. I had so much love in my life from every angle. It was a mountaintop that I keep believing is the highest I'll go in life, but I'm sure Jesus has other plans. I began thinking about my ending in Korea, how I already know the testimony will be the same as Prague's, how I will have exactly that, a testimony, where I can glorify God's miracles, God's hands, and God's works in my life so clearly. So.